We are back on Politics and Color. Thanks for joining the conversation here. We have a conversation with some folks locally from Milwaukee. We talk about some of the issues that are going on here that are actually going on everywhere. This is really a microcosm of America. And I've got Tory, Lowe, Liz Brown, the Truth Radio
101.7
The Truth.
Point seven, the
Yes.
truth.
We met. It's interesting. I was just tooling around here and stopped and chatted with you, Tory, and we were talking about why people of color have to begin working both convention floors,
Right.
Democrats and Republicans. And that seems to be the mindset in this election season because we look around and say, well, yeah, we like Joe Biden, but, and we're saying, well, we may have to look somewhere else. So we can begin to have politicians that look truthfully at our interests.
Well, I think that once people don't see any value in anything that nobody don't want. So I always say you got to be in all the rooms and understanding to bring your situations to the table. And to me, when you just only stay on one side of the fence and nobody wants you, then you have no value. And I think that now we have to renegotiate our contract, our political contract with politics, period. No matter what party we go to, no matter when we give our votes, we got to have tangible outcomes. We got to have result-based outcomes, just like everybody else.
Free votes.
Yeah, not when the next election cycle come back around and we can't say what we got.
Yeah.
I think that has to stop.
I want to talk about your experience here in Milwaukee. You mentioned that you've had to do a lot of things that have legal
Right.
ramifications of representing some of the issues, and we'll talk about that.
Well, what I do is I advocate for families. I fight for human and civil rights of those that are, being violated. So over the last 14 years, I've probably accumulated like 65 lawsuits across the state of Wisconsin, and that's black, brown, Native American. All races have come to me for legal ideas because everybody needs help in that space. But what I've realized is that in the black community, we have to really refresh ourselves because everything we have done in this country have helped everybody else, but we're our allies, and are we using our votes as leverage to gain things? So this is the question, because I get to see other communities and how they operate. I get to see how they put their boards together for the negotiation of politics. You just can't say, hey, vote for me in the Hmong community or in the Native American community. You got to go to the chief. You got to go see somebody. Everybody's funneling their votes together to gain the maximum amount of power to get a result. And I think that we should too.
Liz, I see you chomping at the bit to jump in.
Yeah, because I think it's a pivotal time in history for the black man to get back in the front. When we're looking at every other community, we're seeing, the man that comes to the front. That's who you have to deal with. I think right now it's a pivotal time because for so long they lied and said that the black man didn't matter, that the black man wasn't voting, that the black man wasn't taking care of his kids. And here we are, the reality is that they had to double back, because the reality of that is when we start to finding value in ourselves and making sure that we're in the rooms, because if we're not in the rooms, then we're on the menu. And a lot of the times we have a lot of people that look like us in these rooms who's telling us not to go over there. And when you get over there, you find out why they telling you not to go over there, because you was on the menu. They sold you up. So right now, I think it's a pivotal time for us to make sure, because everybody has received something tangible while we fought. It's our blood in the streets. We built this America that everybody is so comfortable to come to and look down on those of us who have done the work, who's been called lazy, who's been told that have no value. I think right now, if everybody else is living good on our backs, then it's only right that we are in these rooms to make sure that it's our time to get what it is that our ancestors fought for.
That's been the argument behind reparations in this country. California just recently passed the first package of reparations legislation in this country's history. And we've got protests going on from Los Angeles to Boston and cities in between, with people saying, you know what, it's time to think about that. But the issue is how we go about getting reinvestment in our communities, not just hand black folks.
Right.
And I'm wondering if that's something that you talk about when you talk about advocacy. Is that any level of that going on in this country?
Of course. Also, I say the open border concept, with them having health insurance, with them getting monies without no board meetings, without nobody coming together and going through a huge research and see how they gonna spend the money. We're not asking them how they gonna spend their money.
Come on.
Okay, so and are we that dumb? I mean, come on now, we know what to do with our money. They never gave us an opportunity, because when we got into the Reconstruction period, we built neighborhoods without that money. And then they got upset with us and tore down well-to-do black communities without them giving us any reparations. So now, with that being said, it's 2024, and people acting like we don't know what to do. That is a lie. Black people know what to do. We just never been given the opportunity to do. And when we did pull ourselves up by our bootstraps without them, they got jealous. They came and ruined our neighborhoods. There's plenty of examples of this. And they ran freeways through the well-to-do black communities. So let's not forget that. Let's not forget that when we talk about black, we have done this without the aid of repair. But now it's more important than ever that we have that repair because of what America has done to the black family.
And, we talk about this issue of reparations usually through the lens of African Americans.
Right.
But in fact, in California history, and there are other states that have had some similar things, where Native Americans, Mexican Americans, entire towns that were raised, the same things that happened in Tulsa.
Right.
Black folks happened in California to Mexican Americans, to Native Americans. So there's been a push, at least from that end, to make it a much wider net, to offer reparations, not just to those of color, but to those who suffer, to widen that net. And I want to bring this back to Milwaukee. Is there a sense that communities of color are working together in any way, or are we tribalized?
We in silos. I think right now, it's pivotal that you brought up, the Native Americans, because again, a lot of us didn't come over here on slave ships. We are the Native Americans. The $5 Indians who have received monies. When we talk about,
The Dog Scroll.
yes, and the Jews, America paid that. We're talking about the things that happened to us on this land, and right now I think it's pivotal that we make sure that we put in the forefronts of our mind, because we've been trained, indoctrinated to believe everything that was told to us, and it was told to us backwards. So the reality of it, I think right now for us as a people, is to make sure that we're in every room, because everybody is benefiting off of us not being in the room. And now it's key that we make sure not to be feared away from anything or anyone, because like I said, we have survived the worst in history of any human being. Absolutely. So fear shouldn't even be an option for us. I don't care what room it is. Everybody's benefiting off of the black being broken and being poor. And now it's time for us, when it comes to repair, we deserve repair.
Absolutely. Let me close out with this. We're in a political season that's charged with all kinds of things, but at the end of the day, the power is in the vote. Are you folks involved in voter registration, getting people? Because we've been telling people, the bottom line is get out there and make your voice heard, whether you're Republican or Democrat. Get out there and be involved in the process. Is that something that's part of what you're doing?
Well, like I said, I was registering people to vote when I first came back from Minnesota. I was living out in Minnesota. I was from Milwaukee, went to live in Minnesota, saw that well-ran communities, how they operated, came home after an incident where I was at work and people tried to tie me up at work and throw me in a hog grinder. I had to go to federal court in Minnesota and, take, these towns, these all-white towns to court. So when I came home, I had a little blueprint on how to really get in there as far as legal, human, civil rights, things like that. When I started dealing with our community, I realized that we knew things were wrong, but we didn't have a plan. We weren't writing it down. We weren't presenting an agenda on paper. And that is very important, because everybody who are getting what they want, they have somebody to negotiate on their behalf. And this is what I have to become to make sure in the city of Milwaukee that we get things. And even if we got to get a lawyer, even if we got to get it right, we're going to get it right. And I think that this is where the change is. We can no longer expect or hope that somebody's talking on our behalf. We have to make sure that we get attorneys. We got to make sure that we're supplying each other with resources. We got to start funding our own campaigns. We got to start putting the money behind, yes. And I think that registering to vote is one option because we all need to be registered. But in the last 5 election cycles, it's way, especially 2 Obama terms, a lot of black people are registered to vote. But I think that now they're seeing that, okay, we had our black president. Why are we right here, right now?
Well, it is going to take more than that, but that's where it starts.
I agree.
And listen, talking with folks from Truth Radio here in Wisconsin, and we appreciate you taking the time to join
Hey,
us and speak
look,
with us.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you for having us on this show.
And we will talk again soon. Many prayers for your efforts, and again, your efforts, just like here, are going on all over the country.
Powerful.
So feel good about that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
To our viewers, we're going to give you a break, and we'll be back in just a few minutes.